parents. And if you deal with his memoirs, he did not communicate anything as it relates to having an identification with people classified as African American, or even people classified as African for that matter. You know, when you look at his sisters, you know, you see some Philippine or some Mexican orientation there. And so then again, what you find is even whom he was surrounded by, when you look at Soros, who left him the large money account, well, that guy wasn't black, and he didn't have African or African American consciousness. You know, the game that people classified as Caucasian are playing now is what they stumbled up on with Du Bois and the other so-called mulattoes in the 60s. And that is that you have made people classified as African American so color conscious that you can throw them off being conscious when you just throw someone with a little color in front of them. Or you throw someone who is white around them and have them kiss a baby. Have them surround themselves with people of color, like Flager in Chicago. It is disrespectful for him to have African garb on, but he does it. And you look at the majority of the population in that church, and those are black people. And he is considered the #1 leader in Chicago as far as being a man of the cloth. Now you tell me how that happened. Because again, either they're going to find you a mulatto, or they're going to find someone who is Caucasian and who is comfortable around black people enough for them to do photo shoots and to sit around black people and sing with black people, so black people will automatically gravitate towards him, because it's always a him, because they have been made to be so color conscious, but hate their own color, you understand? So that's how Obama got in. Obama hadn't done anything in the community for the short period that he could have been at the school classified as alternative school. Firstly, I had never heard of the school. I'm not suggesting that it wasn't there, but he had not spent enough time there to even acquaint himself with what the issues were of African American youth to care. Because they snatched him, nothing. And you can tell again that it was a strategy of Caucasians. Why? Because Caucasians don't understand what really moves us who are really committed to the struggle. So what they did was they just dropped him in a school classified as, you know, an alternative school for a split second, so they could say it was a school for disadvantaged youth. And then nothing prior to that and nothing after that shows you a parallel to that being his pathway. There was nothing in his past suggests that type of pattern. You watch your own, you look at your own life and watch and see everything that you've ever been a part of, that you were always a part of, because that was a pattern. People walk in accordance to patterns. Prior to, you didn't see him engaged in anything that suggested that he was about our cause. So then it wouldn't have been logical to suggest that all of a sudden, because he was placed in the so-called White House position, that he would be. And that's what I'm saying as far as our critical analysis. As people, we are so intertwined in a construct that was designed by Caucasians, not understanding that every aspect of it is a lie. It's built upon a lie. It promotes lies. It promotes liars. And that sometimes those liars will have black skin. And we've got to realize that, because again, we don't have another 67 years to figure it out. That's why they put Obama in. They couldn't put another white person in there after George Bush Jr. screwed things up as he did. And they couldn't put Hillary Clinton in simply because of what her and Bill Clinton had done together. She was supposed to be the next person in. But it was going to come out what he and her had done. And as a result, the number of black males specifically, but even an increase in black women in prison, but especially the jump of black males in prison. And that's why Jay-Z came out with that piece focusing on the brother who was mysteriously hung himself out of being placed in, I think it was Rikers Rikers Island in New York. It's not coincidental that he came out with that piece during the time in which she was running to be president, at the time that it would have came out that her and her husband was responsible for the increase, therefore that brother being placed in prison. You know, it's the domino effect. People would have made the dots, connected the dots. That's why it came out. And now there's no more that you hear about it. Why? Because, you know, what they used it for, it accomplished its mission. So now they're done. Now they're done. Why do you think they chose him? Because New York is her and Clinton's stomping ground. You understand? So it's an issue of us being able to look at things and be able to analyze with an understanding of where we have been in relationship with people in this construct called the US of A. Because our situation from the beginning of the USA, because we were here prior to, but once they incorporated as the US of A, our experience here has been more unique than any other group of people. And now they want us to look at our experience overladen with other people's experience, with the communication of how they communicate on other people's experience, and it's not the same, and it confuses us. Or else we would have been asking him, what's your credentials? But we're so color conscious without analysis now. We just don't want to be black. And anybody black doing something that white people praise is good enough for us. Whether it benefits us or not, we're not even going to think that deeply on it. And we've got to get past that. We can't, just like they talking about Bill Maher. At first it was O'Reilly, and black people are not paying attention. First they move O'Reilly because he said something disparaging about black women hair. Now they want to move Bill Maher, and prior to, for using the N-word. And again, what you're finding is when it came to Bill Maher, a greater number of black people was supporting Bill Maher. So you don't understand that they're doing a study to determine what's our position now on color. Before they initiate their plan to remove us in great numbers in a short period of time, they got to test where our emotional response is. Because if everybody don't know at this point in time, firstly, black people have no business being offended when a Caucasian cracker called them a nigger. And for you to expect for somebody to be fired over that is infantile. Because if they're not going to fire a police officer for killing you dead with no provocation, then for you to think that they have enough morality to remove a person from a pivotal media position because they said the N-word, are you serious? Because that's illogical. So you kill young black men, and the white officers who have done that serve no time, does not have their livelihood interrupted. But a white man who looked like he got some color in him anyway says the N-word, and he's going to lose his livelihood, and you're under the auspice that justice is working. You don't understand your strings are being pulled. Same thing by O'Reilly. Those are mouthpieces for conservatism. And conservatism is what rules this country from day one. So if you're under the impression that Caucasians are going to remove themselves to appease without putting something in place that's going to be much more detrimental, then again, you don't understand the way these people think. And 67 years where we had the opportunity to think freely should have been enough time for us to know how that mind works, because it will never change, because it cannot change. And if they have never done it before, I don't know what makes us think that they will begin to now. You don't oppress people for hundreds of years and then all of a sudden in a short span of 30, 40 years, you pass that. We cannot be that sensitive. We have got to be stronger. They've made us weak because they are weak. So they fed us all these ideas based upon emotionalism because it makes us emotional. They fed us that crap about, oh, you got to sit around white people. If you don't sit around white people, you feel so low about being black that you ain't going. Wait a minute. Our scores were higher when we were in segregated schools. We produced more doctors, so forth, and politicians who actually worked for the community before we were integrated. So that's faulty logic. You can't prove that, but you can prove otherwise. But we've turned everything over to them. It's like supposedly they let us off the plantation and we put ourselves back on the mental plantation because whatever they say, we just fall for it. And it's messed us up. We can't even see what's in front of us. You are a good black man. That doesn't mean every black man has to be. And I think that's what black men have got to stop allowing what society has propagandized, define, or depict how you feel about yourself. So they can't put some Uncle Tom in front of you, and just because he's black, you go for the okie doke. You may be a good black man. You care about what's going on with black people. That doesn't mean that every black person does. And so you'll have to go by their action because you've determined that you are by your actions. So you hold everybody else no less accountable than you've held yourself. That's the golden rule. Do unto others as you have them do unto you. Judge others as you judge yourself. That's the golden rule. And if we do that, there's no way in the world any of us would have been sold on the idea that he was placed there for our good or that he would do good for us. We're still at war. The enemy don't give you an advantage. He don't give you a general. He don't give you a captain. He don't give you a fighting machine as a soldier. He does not do that. He puts spies in your camp. That's what he does. Sabotagers in your camp. That's what he does.